What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with another Dynasty buy low. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and if you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. Going to be coming out with a bunch of content after the NFL draft, mock drafts, as well as just breaking down all of the fallout from the draft, what guys' values boosted, what guys' values has gone down. It's going to be a major shaker of our offseason and something that the fantasy world is going to have to adapt to moving forward. And it's a super exciting event that I am pumped for. But let's hop into the Dynasty buy lows post. These probably going to do one for every position this year. So DeVonta Smith is who I have up first. Currently ranked between 16 to 20th in the wide receiver rankings for Dynasty football. He's had two back-to-back 1,000-yard years. If you look at his rookie year, too, he had 916 yards as well. Pretty darn close for a rookie. 7 touchdowns each of the last 2 seasons. This year, he was a wide receiver 1, scoring wide receiver 10 overall, scoring 12.2 points per game and half-point PPR. This last year, he's a wide receiver 20. He scored 11.7. Pretty darn close in actuality, but the opinion of him in the fantasy community has greatly changed. Another thing to throw out, he just signed a 3-year, $75 million contract with $51 million guaranteed with the Philadelphia Eagles, extending him. Like I said, being a wide receiver 1 your second year in your career, I think he's worth a heck of a lot more than he's currently being valued. Like I said, between some people are the 20th dynasty wide receiver, and I just think that's far too low. I'm not worried about A.J. Brown being there. It does limit his upside a little bit, although there's been some smoke about A.J. Brown potentially winning out. Who knows? That could happen in the year, but even if that doesn't, I still think DeVonta Smith is a really good buy in Dynasty. That he is just no longer the sexy commodity, but he's got a good offense. He's got a good quarterback. He's just got a very stable situation around him. Last year as well, like I said, all this stuff about him going down, his value going down so dramatically. I think if you had looked at him 2 years ago, he probably would like the 8th dynasty receiver or something like that, maybe even better. And now he's more than doubled. But he had a 24% target share last year, which is nothing to shake a stick at. He's been very good for fantasy football. I think he's going to continue to be. And I think you could acquire this guy for a very reasonable pick. I think, too, outside of the top 3 dynasty picks, I would definitely trade any of the rest of them. Like if I had the 104 and I could trade that and some older player or something and get DeVonta Smith, I would be doing something like that. I think that's a good deal. And, the hit rate on guys out of the draft is always just going to be so much lower. You have to keep that in mind. Drafting dynasty rookies, it is, exciting, and it can set your roster up to win for a really long time, and you can also miss and lose for a really, really long time. So I really like buying into some young commodities like DeVonta Smith that might have, public perception might be down on them a little bit, but there really is no reason to be. 95 and 81 receptions as well. The targets went down a little bit, but I think they could be, pretty close to where that 136 is, or 120, 125 targets. That will be good enough for him to be a top 15 receiver in fantasy football this upcoming season. I just think he is a really good value. Okay, so next up I've got T. Higgins. Now the reason I've got T. Higgins up here, he's a guy I just think people have just dropped too far down on. Now he's a top. Where is he ranked currently? Is that what you're asking? He's currently ranked between 20 and 24 on the wide receiver rankings. Now, I think his position has actually gotten better. Now, I do understand with the draft coming up, a lot of things could change in this video, guys. Keep that in mind. If, one of these teams goes out, if the Cincinnati Bengals trade for Rome Odunze, things are going to be different. But barring any major moves by these people, he's a good wide receiver whether he's in Cincinnati or not. And he's currently not valued as a top 24 receiver. So to me, if he stays in Cincinnati, which I think is the most likely situation, now I do think there's a chance he gets traded. But if he stays in Cincinnati, they currently have no Tyler Boyd. He's got a great chance at double-digit touchdowns and 1,000-plus yards with Joe Burrow being there. And we've seen him do it before in this situation, but the situation is better. We see these 2 years, 908 as a rookie is a really good number. 1,091 in 14 games that next year, basically 1,100 yards. The next year, he played banged up in some of those games. That was the year he had one game he suited up, didn't play like a snap. Basically, though, it was 1,100 yards both of those years, 6 or 7 touchdowns, not the highest number, but when you've got a healthy Joe Burrow this upcoming season, no Tyler Boyd, I think there's a really good chance for him, like I said, to catch double digits, have 1,100 yards. If you do that, basically you're a back-end wide receiver 1 or better, and I think there's, room there for him to be 1,250 and 12. I think that's within the realm of possibility. Again, not what I would pick, but currently outside of a top 24 receiver because of this fear about where he's going to be next year. And let's say he gets traded from Cincinnati. Somebody will be giving up draft capital for him and paying him a ton of money, which means he's going to be a focal point of that offense. And again, it might not be as good as Joe Burrow, but where he's currently ranked, I still think there's value that can be gained regardless. I'm not even the biggest T. Higgins guy, but outside the top 24 at Dynasty is ridiculous to me. He's a 25-year-old wide receiver with a great quarterback currently, and yeah, situation might change, but like I said, if they do change, it's because a team is committing major resources to him, committing for him to be their future. And I can still see, I don't view a situation really where he's not a wide receiver 2 this upcoming season, barring injury or, things around him. This last year as well, I see the numbers aren't great in this last season, but throw a lot of this out. He was banged up for a big chunk of it. Joe Burrow was hurt at the beginning of the year, then Joe Burrow got hurt for the last chunk of the year. Just kind of a lost season in general, but I think T. Higgins is a great value for where he's going. Another guy, I think you could probably trade like the 106 or to the 110, something. 10, yeah, I think you could trade the 108 to the 110 right now, and you could probably get T. Higgins in Dynasty. And I would be all over that personally if I need a wide receiver to just plug it and play. I think could be a 1,000-yard receiver and go out there and give me a chance to score a touchdown each and every week. All right, next up we've got Christian Watson from Green Bay. Now this guy currently is ranked outside the top 40 wide receivers in Dynasty. And we just need to go over some things last year because he was in my wide receiver videos last year. The guy I was targeting a lot. Now he only played 9 games, so it didn't end up working out. But when you look at Christian Watson, there's a lot to like. And now we could, have every reason to believe Jordan Love is good. He's probably going to get a massive extension here before the season starts. Now, Christian Watson, the thing I think to point out about him, he has been banged up, but he is an elite athlete with height. Let's look at I pulled up his player profile just to show you how ridiculous of an athlete he is. He's 6'4", 208 pounds. You see on the field when he runs away from people. They're not coming back to catch him. 4.36 in the 40, 98th percentile speed score. His burst score is extremely high. Catch radius extremely high. Just a massive football player with massive potential that you can get for an extremely low price currently in Dynasty. I just think it's worth the risk because if he hits, he's a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy. Now, injuries are a question, but they are for anyone. I think a guy you look at from a video I did three years ago before he broke out, Deebo Samuel is in my buy lows. He's another guy. When he's on the field, he's excellent. When he's off, obviously he's not that good. Christian Watson's in the same light. And basically the thing I'm preaching is just how high the upside is. You can see he even had more yards per game this last year. Banged up in 2 of those games. He actually got hurt. There's no reason to me he can't get to that, 60 yards a game, which would put him around 1,000. Catch close to 10 touchdowns, 8-10 touchdowns, somewhere in there. But yeah, I definitely think he has top 12 potential at the position. He was on pace for over 100 targets this last year, including his injured games, which if he gets right around 100, 110 targets, I think it will be enough for him to succeed for fantasy football. He doesn't need, a crazy amount. He's an explosive player that can make the most of his targets. Last year, another stat to throw out there, his expected points per game averaged 10.6. So that's the type of workload he's been getting. That he sought out a specialist for his hamstring injuries this year. They think they've got a better grasp on what's causing them. Maybe that'll help him stay in the field a little longer. No guarantee by any means, but I just think this is a very low-risk, high-reward move that I would be taking advantage of right now. I think Christian Watson outside the top 40 Dynasty receivers is a little ridiculous to me. I think he's at the top. I probably have him at like 30, so I think there's, just a lot better value than the community currently does, and I would love to go out there. I mean, this is a guy you could get for a 2-3 turn in Dynasty maybe, and I would do that all day. He's still super young. He's attached to a good quarterback. The team believes in him. When he's on the field, he's been a difference maker. He checks every box, and you can get him for a crazy low price tag today. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll respond as always. It really helps out the video. Like I said, some of this could definitely change with the NFL draft, but I'll be putting out videos after that, so just hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned. This has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching.